My fiancée lied about her finances, then tried to manipulate me into paying her debts. So, I canceled the wedding and cut her off. I'm 32, male, and until about 6 months ago, I thought I had my life pretty well figured out. I had a decent job, good friends, and a fiancé I'd been with for 4 years. We were supposed to get married this past summer. Yeah, that didn't happen, and it never will. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is a story about betrayal, and how I had to wake up to the fact that the person I thought I was going to marry wasn't the person I thought she was. And it wasn't the kind of we grew apart situation. No, this was worse. She lied. A lot. Let's call her Jay. We met through mutual friends, and from the start, she seemed like she had her life together. She was fun, smart, had a good job in marketing, and seemed pretty independent. I'd always prided myself on being responsible, especially when it came to finances. I had a good handle on my money, savings, and investments, and I thought Jay did too. For most of our relationship, I never had a reason to question that. We split bills, lived together, and everything seemed fine. Then came the wedding planning. That's when things started to unravel. We had been engaged for about a year at this point, and wedding costs were coming up. If you've ever planned a wedding, you know it gets expensive fast. We were planning to split the major costs down the middle. Jay had told me she had savings set aside for her part of it. But when the first big payment came up for the venue, Jay suddenly got cagey. She avoided talking about money. And when I pressed her, she finally admitted she didn't have the money. Not for the wedding. Not for anything. Her savings didn't exist. It wasn't that she just fell short or miscalculated. She had nothing. Zero. And to top it off, she was in a ton of debt. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, student loans, and personal loans that I didn't even know about. I was stunned. We'd been together for 4 years, living together for 2, and I had no idea she was in this deep. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked her. "I didn't want you to think less of me," she said. "I thought I could handle it on my own." I didn't yell or lose my temper, but inside I was pissed. Hiding something like this from me? That's not what you do when you're engaged and planning a future together. But I stayed calm and told her we'd figure it out. I said we'd go over her debts, make a plan, and deal with it together. But she needed to be honest with me from now on. I believed that would be the end of it. I really thought we could move past it. But it got worse. A couple of weeks later, she dropped another bomb on me. Not only was she in debt, but she'd also taken out loans in her parents' names without telling them. I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there staring at her thinking, what kind of person does that to their family? She tried to justify it, saying her parents wouldn't help her when she asked for money, so she had no choice. At this point, I'm questioning everything. Who the hell was I marrying? But I was still trying to keep it together, thinking maybe we could work through it if she was genuinely sorry and willing to fix it. I didn't want to just walk away. Not yet. Then came her solution. And this is where I realized how deep her entitlement ran. She suggested we combine our finances completely. Joint accounts, shared credit cards, the whole deal. She said since we were getting married soon, we should just handle her debt together. It'll be easier, she said. We're in this together, right? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She wasn't asking for help or a loan. No, she was asking me to take on her mountain of debt like it was my responsibility. I told her straight up, I'm not paying off your debt. You got yourself into this mess. You need to handle it. She didn't take that well. She started crying, saying, I didn't love her enough if I wasn't willing to help her when she was in trouble. She accused me of not caring about our future. The guilt trip was real, and it made me madder by the minute. I told her I wasn't going to be manipulated into cleaning up her mess, and she needed to take responsibility for her own financial decisions. That night, I made up my mind. The wedding was off. I packed a bag and told her I needed space to think. I went to stay at a friend's place for a few days. She called and texted nonstop, alternating between apologizing and trying to convince me I was overreacting. But I knew I wasn't. This wasn't cold feet. This was about trust, or the complete lack of it. Then she took things up another notch. A few days after I left, she showed up at my job. She wasn't allowed inside, so she waited in the parking lot and blocked my car when I tried to leave. She was in full meltdown mode, crying, screaming, accusing me of ruining her life. She claimed she had nothing without me, that I'd abandoned her and left her homeless and broke. She said it was my responsibility to fix it since we were so close to getting married. I told her calmly but firmly that she needed to leave. She wasn't getting anywhere with me, and I wasn't going to be manipulated by her theatrics. When she refused to move, I threatened to call security. That set her off even more. She accused me of getting her fired from her job, which was another lie. She'd been fired months earlier for reasons she wouldn't tell me about. She screamed at me, saying she'd tell everyone I'd abandoned her. After forcing her to quit her job to focus on wedding planning. All lies. I just walked away and called the cops. I was done with the drama. Later that day, she started with a new tactic. She told me she had a legal right to stay in my apartment since she'd been living there for over a year. I knew that was complete BS. The lease was in my name, and she'd never paid rent. So I went straight to my landlord and changed the locks. She wasn't going to squat in my place while I was trying to figure out what to do next. That move pissed her off even more. Over the next few days, I started getting strange bills. Gym memberships, magazine subscriptions, and even a luxury spa package, all in my name. Turns out she'd used my information to rack up charges, hoping I wouldn't notice until it was too late. Luckily, I caught it early and shut it down, but it was clear she was going to keep trying to get something out of me, one way or another. At that point, I wasn't just angry. I was done. Done with her games. Done with her lies. Done with everything. She was acting like I owed her something because we'd been engaged. But that's not how this works. You don't get to screw up your life and expect someone else to clean up after you. She didn't stop there. She had her family start calling me, her mom, mostly, pleading with me to give her another chance. They said Jay was in a fragile state and that if I didn't take her back, she'd spiral out of control. They even implied that if anything happened to her, it would be on me. I wasn't falling for that. I told them straight up that Jay was manipulating them, just like she'd been manipulating me, and they needed to stop calling. I blocked their numbers right after that conversation. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Nope. Jay decided to pull one more stunt. She forged an email from me to one of our wedding vendors asking for a refund on a deposit I'd paid. The vendor called me to confirm, and I was livid. I immediately sent over all the proof that it wasn't me, and thankfully, they didn't go through with the refund. At this point, I realized I needed to take legal action. I wasn't going to let her screw up my life any further, so I filed for a restraining order. It was an extreme step, but she'd crossed every line. I wasn't going to let her destroy my credit, my reputation, or my peace of mind. After the restraining order was granted, she finally backed off. I haven't heard from her since, but of course, she tried to stir things up with our mutual friends. She told them I'd abandoned her when she needed me the most, painting herself as the victim. Some of them believed her, others didn't. I lost a few friends in the process, but honestly, I don't even care. If they were willing to believe her lies after everything I'd been through, then they weren't really my friends to begin with. So yeah, the wedding's off, and I'm moving on. It took a while to process everything, but I'm in a better place now. I've learned a lot about people, trust, and how far some will go to avoid taking responsibility for their own actions. If there's one thing I can take away from all this, it's that you can never fully know someone until they're under pressure. Jay showed me who she truly was when things got tough, and it was ugly. Trust isn't something you can rebuild after lies like that. I canceled the wedding, cut her off completely, and have been focusing on myself since. I'm not bitter, but I'm definitely wiser. If I'm ever in a relationship again, I'll make damn sure we're upfront about everything from the start, especially money. Anyway, thanks for sticking around and reading this mess. Subscribe if you want to hear more about how I managed to navigate the crazy aftermath of this drama. Trust me, there's always more to this story.